part of the joy of gardening is getting to try new veggies. They're almost like trading cards for gardeners, and almost all serious gardeners have a hoard of seeds stashed somewhere, containing a plethora of plants, many unknown to most people. Climbing Malabar spinach is one of them. This prolific vine is a substitute of spinach and a perfect plant for hot, humid climates. Where conventional spinach would run to seed and die, Malabar prospers. I'll show you how you can grow it too, and share a few tips and tricks for its cultivation. I'm Siloé Oliveira, and I believe that seeking biodiversity in your veggie patch is essential in setting up a resilient, sustainable suburban homestead. You'd be surprised by the unknown varieties of edible species out there. Even if we don't include the so-called wild edibles, there are plenty of cultivated ones that are unknown to the majority of the population. You won't find them in your local grocers, and there are reasons for this, beyond just plain prejudice of whatever is new. They may be very seasonal crops, or they may not have a long shelf life. There may not be many recipes that use them, or their flavor may be an acquired taste. In any case, most of the times, the only way of getting to know them is by planting them yourself. When I first ordered the seeds for Malabar spinach, I thought I was in unfamiliar and exotic veggie territory. Something new I would be presenting to my family. A Columbus presenting New World exotics to the Queen. That's when my mother saw it growing and said, "Oh, that's Bertalia. We ate it all the time." Now I had heard her talk about it before, and it was more exciting to learn that it was less of an exotic to me and more of a long-lost relative. My grandmother used to grow it. This became a trip into nostalgia instead of unknown lands, and that's always more fun. I could taste a bit of my mother's childhood. Now, you might be asking yourself, why I never ate it growing up? It's easy. I used to live in the city, and the city has a way of forgetting such things. If you want to take a trip into the unknown, or the familiar, whatever your case may be, you will need to get some Malabar seeds. You may not find them in big box gardening stores, but you can order them online. Now there is a caveat. Malabar seeds have a notoriously low germination rate, so you may end up with a batch of seeds that don't work, but don't be discouraged. I use the plate method of germination that I've shown in my first video. It may take a few days to weeks for the seeds to germinate, but you should get some to do so. Malabar is a prolific grower, but only in hot weather. It is perfect for tropical and semi-tropical climates. Only plant them outside after the soil has warmed up. The plant will first invest in growing a good root system and will not show much leaf growth. Be patient, this may last about a month or so, but soon enough, with moisture and heat, these plants will shoot up and produce beautiful glossy leaves. Remember to water it frequently to encourage growth. You can pick the leaves to chop and eat as a simple sauté, or you can cut the stems and use them as asparagus. Malabar spinach is very tender, and any frost will completely kill the plant. Now, I found that raising them from seed is a bit of a hit and miss endeavor. There had to be a better way of propagating them. By looking at their structure, I had a feeling they could be propagated by cuttings, which means that for subsequent years, I could save cuttings and not have to worry about finding seeds and dealing with slow, low germination. So I experimented. Close to the end of the season, I took cuttings of the shoots and put them in water for them to hopefully grow roots. And in a few weeks, they did. Once the roots had grown a bit, I planted them in terracotta pots and watered them well. Now, how does it taste, you ask? It surprisingly tastes a lot like spinach, but in addition, it does have a faint, distinct taste to it that's hard to describe. It may be an acquired taste to some. It is also slightly mucilaginous when raw, but that is diminished when cooked. It is very nutritious, rich in vitamin A, C, and the B complex, as well as rich in potassium, manganese, calcium, magnesium, and copper. I put them in a well-lit spot with no direct sun and covered them with a glass cloche to prevent moisture loss. I wanted a low-maintenance setup where I would not have to water them frequently and more or less forget about them until spring. Now, it can be a challenge for plants to stay alive for such a long time in a low-light situation during winter, but surprisingly, The Malabar did well. While it needs plenty of sun and water and heat to grow rapidly outside, it can pretty much stop growth and survive in lower light levels, much akin to a houseplant. And this makes sense considering they are tropical plants. Understory tropical plants are used to growing slowly under filtered canopy light and shoot up with fast growth when a clearing opens, as when an old tree dies. They are perfect plants for warm climates, but raising them in the north can be more of a challenge. After 6 months of plant limbo, I took them out of the glass and proceeded to plant them outside in late May. When the soil had warmed up, the experiment had worked. It had gone full circle, and it was ready to start growing again, even though it was growing in a cold, temperate climate. As a tropical, all it could do was hope for an endless summer. Join me next time. Remember to send in questions, comments, or tips to seedofchoice@gmail.com. And don't forget to subscribe to Suburban Homestead.